I guess it's a long time coming kind of discussion between the two of us. We didn't talk since 7th of October. We chat a bit on WhatsApp,
Yeah.
few messages, and we wanted to have this conversation to record kind of a conversation. I don't know what we're going to do, but we wanted to talk about it. I didn't have the I don't know. I didn't have the energy to do it. It was too hard, I think.
Yeah.
And few days ago we talked again and we say let's let's try something. And here
Yeah.
we
Yeah.
are. And
I,
here we
I,
are.
I can totally understand that because after October 7 and everything that happened afterwards, I don't know about you, but I'm still maybe in a kind of a shock, and I still try to process everything that's happening. And I've given so many, interviews and have written texts and essays about it, but I'm still trying to process and to understand what's happening, and to cope. And I'm actually busy coping. It's a chronified despair. Like it's really hard to watch right now. And I'm in Germany, so I'm not on the ground like you are, or like the people in Gaza are right now. So I'm just watching, and it's hard on me. So I can't even imagine how it must feel for someone who is actually directly involved on the ground.
It's I think it's just to to give some background for the people hearing us, if someone is watching this or will watch this or hear this for the first time. So Joanna and I are the founder of a project called the PeaceFactory. We started it up in 2012. It started with a project that I did called Israel Loves Iran, and then Palestine of Israel, and we kind of peace project, peace organization. We made few workshops in Canada, wherever, and 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 I think that since 7th of October, talking about peace, even mentioning the issue of peace, was so complicated. And every post that I did on the page was, you're only talking about one side. And I found myself in a very hard position because obviously I'm an Israeli, I live in Israel. I live the situation from the Israeli point of view. I mean, 7th of October happens to me as an Israeli. I can be I can be on the side of peace. I can be on the side of having many friends like you, Palestinians, Iranians. When it's happening to you, it's happening to you. It didn't happen to me personally, but obviously I know a lot of people. I have a relative, um, a family relative that he's still an hostage in the Gaza Strip since the 7th of October. And and yes, it was very complicated for me to think of both sides at that time. And and even to think about peace was very strange to me. And and yes, and that's why I wanted to have this conversation with you to ask you how do you feel? How do you see it from Germany? Has a Joanna is a Palestinian. I'm an Israeli. We still friends. It's very strange. It's very strange, and and the situation here in Israel, it's it's crazy, right? It's people have moved from left to right, from being able to envision peace with Palestinians to there is nothing to talk about, there will never be peace. And there are few people, few Israelis who still think that this is the only path. The only path to survive in the Middle East is through peace. But most of the landscape is war, and every day it's crazier. Every day it's crazier. Every day you hearing about what's happening in the Gaza Strip. I don't know. Give me your thought about it. I'm talking to
I observe from what I can see here in Germany, and I'm a German Palestinian. My mom is German. My father was Palestinian, a refugee actually. I still have relatives in the Middle East. I'm right now. I'm very concerned about my family in Lebanon, and from the German Palestinian point of view, it is very complicated. In Germany, we have a special relationship to Israel due to the history. And what I can observe here, and I think in many other Western countries as well, is a really strong polarization. I really like this need, this urge to put yourself on one side or the other.
Yes.
So I have given a lot of, speeches and talks and interviews about the topic here in Germany to German media. And some of them, in the beginning, they were actually asking me, urging me, like almost pressuring me to say for which side I am, as if this is like, a football game.
Yes.
And yeah, it's really like here you have to put yourself into one side or the other side, and you have to root for this side and consequently demonize the other side, which is actually really weird and pretty dumb from my point of view. But this is what's happening, and this is what is causing really strong rifts between societies. So this is wrong on so many levels. Let me just try to break it down for everyone who might hear this or watch this. People are treating this war and this conflict, the Middle Eastern conflict in general, as if this is a zero-sum game. Like a zero-sum game is a game where one side can win by completely destroying the other side only. It's no game where you can both win. One side wins and the other side is completely annihilated. And this is how the leaders of both countries, of Israel and the leaders Hamas are acting right now, have been acting for a pretty long time. They are both actively trying to destroy the other side. And what is happening in the Western societies is that people are really jumping on that bandwagon. They are really playing this game by siding with one political side or the other political side. They're either siding completely with the Israeli side, whatever this is, or with the Palestinians, whoever they are.
And there is no middle.
There's no middle. There is no possibility to engage in dialogue because it is really that diverted. And the craziest thing here is there is no such thing as the Israelis. or the Palestinians. So when they are actually waving their flags, on demonstrations, we had a lot of demonstrations, pro-Palestinian demonstrations, or pro-Israeli demonstrations, and when they're waving their flags and shouting their slogans, like it's "Stand with Israel, stand with Palestine," they're not very specific about it, because stand with Israel means what? What Israel? Stand with Israel, stand with Bibi Netanyahu and his government, stand with the opposition, stand with the religious ones, stand with the secular ones, with whom,
Yeah, most of the people that have taken a stand aside have no clue about the Middle East. I mean,
nothing, and they have no connection to it.
They wouldn't be able to point the Gaza Strip on a map, Israel on a map. I'm sure of it. And obviously, most of them have no clue about the politics of the Israeli society, the issues that are happening here, and the politics of the Palestinian society. And again, when you're taking side from the Israeli side, who are you siding with? I mean, I understand that as a Jewish community, you want to stand with Israel, obviously. And I understand that as a Palestinian living in the diaspora, in Germany, France, wherever, you want to take a stand with your brothers and sisters, obviously. But are you really with Hamas? Are you really for the killing of people, the beheading of babies? Are you really with the government of Netanyahu? Many Israelis are against the government. I mean, every week, half of the population here in Israel are against the government. Every week we go on rallies, on the streets, every week. Thousands of people are protesting in Tel Aviv every week against Netanyahu's government, against his coalition of extreme right, religious, crazy motherfuckers. And yes, I guess most of Israelis are for the release of the hostages. Obviously, it's their brothers and sisters, their families. I mean, when Hamas took people, they didn't ask if they're leftist or from the person that I know is the father of someone in my family. He's an 82 years old grandfather. He was taken from his kibbutz on the morning of the 7th of October. He's the most lefty Israeli you can find. He's not. I mean, this guy gave his every week he tried to bring Palestinian kids from Gaza to hospital to get hospital care in Israel. That was his job. That's what he did for a living, helping kids from. He was a peaceman, like living the peace, making peace happen a bit per day. And when Hamas came, they took him. They took him and his wife. They killed everybody. They didn't ask, are you from the left? Are you from the right? And obviously, Israelis want to see their people back. Obviously, Palestinian wants the war to end. But again, when people take such a strong stand, I can see it happening in France, in the United States. It's like, if you're an Israeli, you're a Zionist. What does it mean? I mean, well, obviously we're Zionists. We're living in Israel. I mean, how can you live in Israel and not be a Zionist? This is the definition of being an Israeli, living in Zion. I mean, it's so stupid. People are so stupid. And all the work that we did, it vanished in one moment because I saw it on the page. I made few posts and the answer or the comment were, yes, but where are you? Where were you? Where kids were killed in Palestine? And it's also you have to be on the side.
Yes, yes.
And there
Yeah,
is no
exactly.
discussion, and there is no peace willing, and this is
Yes.
this is what makes me afraid, because before that, when we were talking all these years, peace didn't happen, but we had hope. And it's like on the 7th of October, hope disappeared. And as you said, for the Israeli, there is another war coming. Obviously, Lebanon is going to happen. Hezbollah is going to happen. I mean, it's not only Hamas.
Yeah.
I mean, most of the people don't know that Hezbollah is shooting over Israel for 8 months now.
Yeah.
100,000 people in Israel are refugees in their own country. They're not living. The whole south of Israel is empty of people. Many friends of mine are living in hostel, family relative. They're waiting to come back, and Hezbollah is shouting, launching missiles over the south of Israel every day. And obviously Netanyahu is going to go to war with them. He's not going to, because it's not about looking for a peace solution.
No, it's the same on the Lebanese side. The people are terrified.
And people in Lebanon are leaving Lebanon right now. I know people. I see people in Beirut airport leaving Lebanon because they know what's going to happen.
Yeah, they're panicking because they know what's happening. And this is what I'm talking about. People are siding, like, from when you're leftist in Europe or in America, you absolutely side with the Palestinians, whoever they are, because it is not.
Yeah, it's like no question asked. I'm on their side.
Exactly, and they don't reflect. So it's like a generalization. The Palestinians, as if it is a whole general mass of people, but they are very diverse. They are different kinds of Palestinians with different opinions, with different ways of living. And it goes so far as people from the very left are actually defending Hamas, siding with Hamas, and consequently with Hezbollah,
that's
with,
crazy.
with the Houthis from Yemen, with the Taliban from Afghanistan, because they view them suddenly as freedom fighters. And it's nothing about freedom. Those people are not about freedom. They are not freeing the Palestinian people. They are enslaving the Palestinian people. They have been enslaving them for decades now. Hamas have not the best interest of the Palestinian people in mind. So this is what people here in Germany, in the West, everywhere in the world have to understand. When you stand with Palestine, and for you it means to stand with Hamas, then you are an idiot.
Yeah, I was in France a few months ago, and I saw a protest, and some people were having flags of LGBT, and they were shouting at the same time. They had Hezbollah flags, and they were shouting from the river to the sea.
That is super cute, because when you are an LGBTQ person in Gaza under the rule of Hamas, you would be in prison right now and be tortured. This is the reality.
I asked one person there. I asked, "Do you know where is the biggest LGBT Palestinian community in the Middle East?"
I know it.
I know that you know it, obviously. And he says, he tries his best. He says Ramallah, he says Jenin, he says Gaza. And you can answer for him.
Tel Aviv.
They are all in Tel Aviv, because it's the only place where they can freely be LGBT. And this is the complexity of the Middle East.
The people are always simplifying things. They have this need to simplify a very complex situation, a very, very complex conflict. And they simplify it by putting like people into two groups, the good ones and the bad ones. And depending on which political side you are, the good ones are either Israelis or Palestinians, and it doesn't even matter. And the bad ones are the other ones. So, and this is a simplification of a very, very complex situation, and it just proves that you're dumb when you do that.
It's the same, by the way, it's the same with Iran.
Exactly, yeah.
Iranians talk to me personally on messages, and we had that night a few months ago. It was 2 months ago. It was in April, the middle of April. And we have that night when suddenly the radio, television, all communication stop, and they send a push notification to everybody. And the message was, you have 8 hours to get ready. Missiles are on their way from Iran. Imagine yourself with a baby receiving a message that tells you you have 8 hours to take shelters. And I know some people in the Gaza Strip don't have this luxury. I know that. I know what's happening there. But imagine the state of mind. I'm here and I have to take my kids where? We have 8 hours. And I went on the streets. My first idea was, I need to record this for my own, I need to see what's happening on the street. And so I went on the street and I see people do nothing, just keep on sitting, like people are so tired of it that they were like hypnotized, like whatever. Coffee shops were not empty. People were still sitting there like whatever. 8 hours, I'm going to enjoy at least 5 of them having a good coffee, and then we'll see. It was a crazy night. And while it was happening, people were from Iran were telling me on messages, it's the government, it's not us, it's not Iran. Iran, it's a huge country full of beautiful people. And a lot of them love Israeli. A lot of Israeli have relatives in Tehran, in Shiraz, and it was a crazy night. I'm telling you, I'm still in shock because so many missiles and so many information, and it was like the end of days for us. It was like, okay, we're gonna die. It's cruising missiles, whatever, and the numbers, and at the end of the day, I went to bed. I didn't even went to a shelter. I just went to bed and say, Inshallah, what happens. Fuck it. And it's so complicated, and watching it from Israel and watching people, good people, from the left. I see people in France, people that I know, talking so much bullshit. I mean, really? Hamas flags? Are you crazy? From the river to the sea? It's hard time. It's hard time for people like us. And in Israel also. And in Israel, you don't want to talk about peace. Nobody's talking about peace. We're talking, most of Israeli have one, and I can understand, and I understand a lot of them. First, the hostages. The hostages is the issue that keeps Netanyahu in power. Because the moment the hostages are released, at least half of the Israeli population will turn on him. Like, stop the war now. Now they're still like, okay, until the hostages are not back, most of Israel are still okay about what's happening in the Gaza Strip. And that's why, by the way, Sinwar and Hamas are not releasing them. It's the magic wand from them.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. I can check every point that you just said, because when you mentioned Iranian people texting you on that day when the missiles came from Iran to Israel, and the Iranians were texting you that it's not us, it's not the people from Iran, it's our government, and our government is absolutely not what we support. This is exactly what I observed over the years. And when October 7th happened and October 8th happened, like the Gaza war started, my whole messenger was full of people from Israel and from Gaza being concerned about each other, being worried about the safety of each other. All those people that you and me met on the PeaceFactory page, all those people who became friends like 10 years ago on Facebook, all those people have remained friends. You remember Marwan and Chloe? They are still friends. He's from Gaza, she's from Israel, and they are still
Chloe,
friends.
Chloe, she's a true believer.
Absolutely,
she's a strong.
She's a strong woman. She's a saint, basically, and they're still in contact, and they support each other as best as possible in this situation. And this is what's neglected. This is what we do not talk about. We do not hear about it in the news about the people.
We don't hear about any hope.
Each other, exactly. We just hear about governments fighting each other and fighting civilians. And in so many interviews, I have been asked for which side I am. For which side I am, because I'm a Palestinian, as if I have to pick a side. And it's ridiculous, because I always answered.
It's okay to have a side. You again, as a Palestinian, as an Israeli, I'm with Israel. I hope you're with Palestine, but I love people in Palestine. As an Israeli, I want peace with Palestine. Obviously,
but that means
shit happens in Israel,
you do not have a side. You do not distinguish between Israelis and Palestinians, because you have friends on both sides. So your side is the side of peace.
Yes.
While people distinguish between, they think this war is between Israelis and Palestinians who are hating each other, and that's not the case.
It's complicated because when Hamas attacks, it didn't ask, and the retaliation also didn't ask.
Doesn't ask.
When people are dying, it's like kids and women and people. Most of them have nothing to do with the war.
That's what I'm saying. That's exactly what I'm trying to say.
And that's so sad. I mean, the only solution to ending that, I mean, for good, obviously is to end the war and is to separate. It's like two parents that are fighting for so many years, but keep on living in the same house. You know, Israelis and Palestinians. Yeah. I feel like it's a bad marriage that started in 48 and a lot of kids. And obviously, you have to separate them for few years, and so they can come to peace, one with each other, and start. You know, you have good separation. You have people who are divorced, but they are still meeting here and there, and they know that they have kids and they have to behave. And I think we have to make our ways or part ways. I think that the Palestinian society has to grow alone and become who is need to be to become a
Yeah,
strong
might
country,
be.
and then we can. And then the Israeli society also have a lot of work to do, obviously, and then we can work together. And I mean, the Middle East can be a beautiful place. Why?
Yeah, but the thing is, when what's happening right now is that people are desperately trying to figure out um, which side to support in
Lot
order to be on the good side.
a lot of
And
people have. They're just. I think they're just talking about this issue like it's a sport contest or it's a.
that's
It's a.
exactly what I'm saying.
They don't really understand. They don't understand. They have no business talking about the Middle East.
Yeah.
They have nothing to do with the. It's like me commenting on what's happening in Congo right now or in, I don't know, Malaysia. What? Why? Why would I? I mean,
Yeah, but the problem
I
is
can have.
they're
I can
making
have.
things worse.
Yeah.
They're making things so much worse for the people who are actually enduring it. And the thing is, if you want to pick a side, it's actually really easy. If you want to pick a side, pick the side of humanity. You
Yes,
can
but
be
no one's representing that side. It's either this flag or this
or
flag.
that flag. That's what I mean. And this is what's really driving me crazy, and it really makes me super angry because you you can support the innocent civilians on both sides. It doesn't make you a traitor. It doesn't make you an anti-Semitist or a racist. It just makes you a decent human being. You can be pro innocent civilians on both sides.
Yeah.
And you can be against unnecessary violence on both sides. You can be against hatred. You can be against violence. You can be against terrorism. You can be against extremism. You can be against ultranationalism. And both things, the good and the bad, you can find on both the Israeli and the Palestinian side. So if you want to be helpful in this conflict, when you're living in, I don't know, America, Germany, or France, or whatever, you can actually
Yeah, I see people on
support
campuses.
humanity.
I see people on campuses in the United States. It's like, what are you doing? I mean, how? How did you get there? From Seattle, Atlanta, I don't know, San Francisco. I mean, how did you even get to talk about that issue? And I understand that you can be concerned about people being killed in a war. It's horrible. But how? I mean, you see what they're saying, and it's like it's crazy. It's like you have no clue what you're talking about, and you're not helping. You're not helping. It's making more and more people against. It's creating more and more division, and it's
Yeah.
not what people need right now. The people of the Middle East need support on the Israeli and on the Palestinian side. They need real support. I mean, real understanding of how can we make this happen. The war's gonna end. At some point, the war's gonna end. How's it gonna look the day after?
Yeah.
Are we? What's gonna happen? Who's gonna help rebuild the Gaza Strip? Who's gonna be? Who's gonna treat all the people who got uh, um, victimized by this war? The trauma, the you know, who's gonna be there? These guys from the campuses of the United States or France, Germany, are they going to come to help to rebuild or is just like these flags about I'm against Israel, I'm against Palestine, they're all crazy. It's so It's very strange. Look, there is also, I think, I don't know what you think about it. There is also this anti-Semitism that's rising up in some places that use this issue as, you know, as a pretext to
Yeah.
talk about anti-Zionism. I mean, what's anti-Zionism? I mean, all
It's just
Israeli
a
are
fancy word for anti-Semitism. It's
all
nothing.
Israeli are by definition, the moment you live in Israel, you're a Zionist. I mean, you're living in Zion. Zionism is the idea of having a country for the Jewish people. It's not like it's not very complicated. And the moment you're actually living in Israel, you're a Zionist. I mean, what is anti-Zionism? And I think it's also, you know, the old ideas of anti-Semitism are also used in some of the talking points I hear from Europe sometimes.
Yeah.
That's
You know,
that worries me.
the
I see
interesting
what's
thing
happening in
here,
France. It's really
it's the same everywhere. And I think the interesting point here is that the people are trying to combat racism, as in Islamophobia or anti-Palestinian racism. They try to combat racism by becoming very, very anti-Semitic. And people on the other side are trying to combat anti-Semitism by becoming very racist.
yes,
And you cannot combat racism with anti-Semitism or anti-Semitism with racism. And this is what is happening. People are using this narrative to side with the victim, you know? But the thing is, the people, the civilians on both sides are the victims. We have victims in Gaza who are being slaughtered right now, who have no place to go, who have no place to seek shelter. Gaza is, in fact, uninhabitable. They cannot live there. They are merely existing and they're fighting for their lives. And they're losing their lives in huge numbers. And in Israel, people have been, in a very, very, very horrific way, being slaughtered. Little children have been slaughtered, beheaded, abducted. Women, girls, little children have been raped. I mean, what? And this is both things horrify me.
yes,
The pain of both people I can feel so very deeply. And it makes me sick. It makes me really sick to my stomach to think that their pain is being instrumentalized for political
yes.
reasons.
And the
And
pain is going to
it
be
makes me furious. It makes me sick. And I feel so helpless because when I see people instrumentalizing the pain of the Palestinian people to follow a very mean anti-Semitic agenda, that makes me sick. That makes me personally offended. And when I see people misusing the pain of the hostages, of their loved ones who are still waiting for their return, to advocate for their violent racist agenda towards Palestinians, I just feel completely helpless, you know? And now I just wish that people everywhere, not just in the Middle East, but also very much in all Western societies who always claim to be progressive and democratic, would
yes.
understand that they are not helpful for this for all those people when they are dividing us so
Yeah,
much.
it's not helping, and it's and really people needs solution. As you were saying, people in the Gaza Strip are helpless. What can you do if you're in France, in Germany, in London, if you're in the United States? What can you do to help? Not to create more division, not to flag your flag on the streets. What can you really do to help? How can you really make even a small something that can help? And it's like no help is coming. It's like the world is watching on social media and people are taking side and shitting on each other. It's either you're a Zionist or a Hamas terrorist, and there is no middle, and there is no talking. I mean, here and there are some people that try to create a connection, but most of the thing I see on social media, on YouTube, the people talking on the television show, it's like they're shouting at each other, slaying some facts on why they're right. Either side is right. Everybody is right all the time. Yeah. It's like you can't be wrong. Obviously, Hamas is wrong. Obviously, some of the Israeli government are dead wrong. And you have to find a way to start talking between the good side, because I'm hopeless. After all these years working with you and, working, hoping for peace, the last few months have made me so hopeless about peace, about the future of the region. Lebanon worries me a lot. I think something terrible is going to happen with Lebanon. And again, the Lebanese are good people. Israeli and Lebanese it's like, Greece and I mean, why? It's crazy. It's crazy. We can't. I want to be able to take a train and go visit some friends in Beirut, and it's 100 kilometers up north. Why not? Why are we still fucking fighting for what? I mean, it's not like Israel. I hear some people talking about, yes, it was a mistake creating Israel in what? What are you talking about? Are you crazy? Do you really think that Israel is going to disappear because you think it's a mistake? Many countries were built after the Second World War. Why are we talking? I mean, Lebanon was created at the same, Jordan was created, Syria was created at the same time, Iraq, I mean, all these nations were created after.
The funny thing is nobody will go away. No one will just disappear. The Palestinians will stay there, and the Israelis will stay there.
So why not trying to make it work? I mean, it's obviously the only way.
You just said you lost hope. I have not.
Because Israeli government, you know what's the slogan here in Israel? It's total victory. It's like total victory. Netanyahu is going on TV every day.
I know this term.
Yeah, obviously, we all know it. We know where it came from.
And it's their term right now. Total victory.
He using that term every time here. It's called, in Hebrew, it's nitzachon muchlat, total victory. And there is no total victory. Are you stupid? What is total victory? Do you think you're going to kill everybody?
In Germany, this term is called totaler Sieg.
Yeah. And we know where it's coming from. I don't know if he knows, because some of them in the government are so stupid, but most of us know history.
Yeah,
We
I
know the
have the voice of
references.
Goebbels in my ear right now in the Sport Palace where he held the speech and he asked the people in the audience, wollt ihr den totalen Krieg? Do you want total victory? And we all know where this led to total destruction, because total victory is just a funny name for total destruction
Is
and for
nothing.
total suffering.
And you know, when he used that term, total Krieg in German, he used that term at the end of the war when he knew it was lost
It was
anyway.
all over.
It was all over. And then he come with what total victory. And there is no, we're all loser. We lose on the 7th of October. Obviously, we want the hostage back. Obviously, we don't want it to happen. Obviously, Israel had to do something in the Gaza Strip so the missiles attack are stopping. We were having missiles falling on Israel every day. You know, from years now. From years, I sent you. You know me. You've seen me running.
Yeah. On the stairs every
Yeah,
time.
and so obviously we wanted that to end, but what now? What now?
The thing is, people are not. I don't know what's happening in psychologically. I'm not a psychologist, obviously, but I just know that when people are so focused on dehumanizing the enemy, they completely forget everything else.
Yes.
And I think you previously mentioned that you lost hope.
Yes. It's very hard.
And I can totally understand where that's coming from. I can totally understand you. But at the same time, I think we must not lose hope, because when we lose hope, we lose the possibility to act. We basically tie our hands together and stop acting and stop looking for allies. And I think this is maybe because you asked previously, what can we all do to help the people in Gaza, to help the hostages? What can we do to help for this horrible catastrophe, for this collective Nakba, the catastrophe, which is not only a Nakba for the Palestinians, but also for the Israelis and for everyone who is living in this region? What can we do to end this catastrophe? And I don't know what I personally can do, because I'm just a woman living here and doing my thing. But I know what everyone can contribute. I think we should stop right now at this very moment to with this whole side picking.
Yeah.
And actually understand who is the main aggressor in this war, in this conflict. Because the aggressor is not the people on the other side. The aggressor are extremists, extremist governments, extremist organizations, extremist mindsets, which are found everywhere in the world. We have extremism, and that is called Hamas. We have extremism, and that is called the government of Iran. And we have extremism, and that is the government, the current government of Israel, who are acting in a very extremist way. Fascism is extremism.
We have fascists in our governments.
We have fascists everywhere.
We have crazy people sitting right now in the Israeli government. We have good people.
Hamas are fascists.
And obviously the Iranian regime is pulling the string from and Hamas are crazy. And I wish people understand that Hamas are not representing the struggle of the Palestinian people. They're not
Please say it again.
representing the people. They're using them, literally using them as human shields to make their vision of the Middle East. They're actually, yeah, there is a saying in Hebrew, we say cannon meat, right?
Yeah, exactly. Cannon meat.
It's
Yeah.
Hamas are using the Palestinians are cannon meat. So, and
Yes, and all
people
those
people
people.
watching this from Europe, from the state, have to understand. They have to come to how can we really help? How can we create conversation? Can we? Do we know an Israeli? I can. Here, here's my tip. Here's my tip from if you living out there and you're watching this and you ask yourself, what can you do? Do you have a Palestinian friend? Do you have an Israeli friend? Bring both of them for a dinner and let's have a good conversation. Create connection. Make something happen that those two people can rehumanize each other's. And don't take a side. Be nice with both of them. It's not, oh, this side is it's not. They're both crazy and they're both good people.
Yeah, you just have to find the nice people. I mean, I do not divide the world into nationalities or cultures because I think that's a weird concept. That's a man-made concept. I don't believe in that actually. I divide the world into people that I like to be friends with, the nice ones, people like you, and the not so nice ones.
The
People
douchebags.
who are the douchebags, the holes. People who are extremists, for example, people who are nationalists, people who are in some way following a crazy, violent ideology. I would not want to be friends with someone who's following a violent ideology. But I would love to be friends with more people who are like you, because I like you and I like people who like peace. So
and
this is actually
and
the
what's funny
distinction that we have to do.
and what's funny is when when I'm traveling to Germany, to France, to the United States, as we did many times together, when you meet someone from the Middle East, but not in the Middle East, when I meet Iranians, Palestinians, we're always having good conversation.
We have the greatest time.
How come we're killing each other over what? It's not an issue about territories. I mean, there is a lot of lands for both people. There is a lot of land in the Middle East. We obviously that it's a huge resources of land. I mean, it's not a. It's a. Is it about religion? What? I
It's
don't
not about
know.
religion, it's about ideologies. It's about ideologies, and people are brainwashed on a very large scale. It's a lot of brainwashing going on in the Middle East and also out of the Middle East, everywhere else. People are being, I don't know, they are all going to YouTube University to be brainwashed,
Yes,
and the internet, the social media,
it's making
the
things worse. You know
it's making, when we started on Facebook
it makes
2012,
good things and now it
yeah,
makes bad things.
exactly. It just completely changed.
Yes.
And now the internet has become a very dark place.
Yeah,
Social media
when we
are not
started
safe.
we used it to have conversation and to make friendships, and now it's only to pick a side.
Yeah,
Especially
and that's so sad. I was asked so many times why we do not continue the peace work that we did on social media. And I always said it doesn't work now. It doesn't work anymore because things have changed.
yeah.
So we have to find different ways. I think this is why we're meeting here today to brainstorm different ways to continue what we've done over 10 years. And it is not happening on social media right now because for some reason it doesn't work on social media anymore. But we can encourage people.
We can ask people, what do you think about it?
Yeah, maybe we can encourage people to repeat what we have done on social media, on Facebook, and in our workshops in the past 10 years. Maybe we can just ask them, go out and talk to a stranger, go out and find someone to have a peaceful conversation with. Just go out. I'm fully aware I'm sounding completely naive, like some shitty hippie or something. And I haven't smoked anything today, but I think this is the only way how we can keep our sanity in these crazy, crazy times.
Yes.
Because I've been trying to stay sane and take care of my mental health during all those months, and it's been a struggle. And I think one of those things that we can actually do as individuals, as normal people, is go out and be nice. Go out and be nice to
let's
someone.
start by being nice. It's hard.
It's hard.
Be nice.
It's hard enough. It's hard enough in these times.
And if you, especially if you're abroad, especially if you're not part of the issue, if you're French, German, if you're from Holland, from the United States, you're not a Palestinian, you're not Jewish, you're not an Israeli, you're not part of it. Instead of taking a side, make people come together on your level. Have two friends coming, be that connection. I don't know. Maybe. I mean, we'll post that video on our page and on YouTube and see what happened and see in the comments. If someone has a good idea, go for it. And maybe we will talk again. I mean, in a few days, maybe we can ask Chloe to join us, to have people to give us their point of view on what's happening in the last 9 months now. It's crazy. It's almost a year. It's almost a year of, I mean, again, I'm not living in the Gaza Strip, so I can't talk for the Palestinian side, and I'm not living there. And I know it's nothing like what we're living in Tel Aviv. I know compared to them, I'm living the dream. But people in Israel are in trauma. Everyone I know it's the only thing that people are talking about. I mean, people go to work, people go to their day-to-day, what they can do, and they act like it's not happening. And there is a mask level that everyone puts on his face, and behind that mask, everybody's crying. You talk to anyone 5 minutes, and you get him to cry. Like, people are desperate. They want this.
It's the same with the Palestinians. Everyone is traumatized. Even when we are not living in Gaza, and I don't even want to compare anything, but like the trauma that you suffer from just watching is immense. It's just huge, and the trauma that you suffer when you're on the ground is beyond. So I can totally get what you're saying. Everyone is traumatized to the core, and I think we are all being re-traumatized as well. So this is, and
it's not ending. It's not ending. It's not ending. It's almost a year. It's like, what? Why?
So I think what we really have to do is to find ways to cope, you and me as people, And we also have to find ways to that are more constructive. We have ways to combat this destructive, horrible dehumanization that is going on. We have to keep on going for ourselves because it is. I found it's healing in a way. It helps me cope when I'm doing all those things, when I'm talking about peace, when I'm
Yes.
trying, even if no one is listening, but it helps me cope. I'm doing it for myself, for my mental health, to show that there is still this tiny glimpse of hope. I'm doing it for me. I don't even know if I believe in it, but I'm doing it for
Yes.
my own mental health.
Yeah, I
And
totally
I and I
understand
and
you.
I think we there are so many of us, Ronnie. We are not the only ones who think alike. You are Israeli, I'm German Palestinian. We think alike. We are working actively for peace. We are trying to keep up the good spirits. We are trying to survive this madness in between all those extremists who are combating us. But we are not the only ones. And I don't want to sound like fucking John Lennon here, but we are not the only ones. And there are so many other people like you and me in Israel, in Palestine, even in the completely destroyed Gaza Strip, in Lebanon, in Syria, in Iran, and all over the world. And we just have to find each other. We just have to focus on the good people, on the civilians, on the people who are actually working for peace, not by, doing this big, huge peace organizations, but just by being kind to one another.
Yeah. Let's try to find two and to bring them to the next episode and to
Yeah,
have a
okay.
conversation with them. That's a
Let's
plan.
do this.
That's a plan.
Looking forward.
Okay, it was nice talking to you, and I think it's getting. I mean, it's a 1 hour at least that we're.
Yeah,
I mean, we can
almost.
go on and on for like at least 2 hours, but you have to go to take the kids, right?
Yeah, I have to pick the kid up from daycare.
I also
Kids,
have to take mine to basketball.
that's super cool.
Um, so let's put an end now and next episode maybe we'll talk again. Maybe we'll bring some guests, have a conversation with other people.
You know what?
See where it goes.
Let's just find one after the other, and then we bring all of them together in one big stadium, and everyone is shouting peace.
But you're not sounding like John Lennon.
Not at all.
Not,
Not at all.
yo man.
It
Okay.
was so good seeing you again.
Yeah, you too. I'm
So
gonna be. I'm not gonna be in Germany soon, but if you're in France, maybe I'm gonna be in France next month. So maybe, you know, we can meet in the flesh.
I would love to
All
one
right.
day or the other.
I'm cutting the recording. Say your goodbyes. And next episode, if we'll post it and we'll see. If there is no
Yeah.
views, if nobody cares, if all the comments are, yes, but you a Zionist, you a Hamas, we're not going to make another episode. But you don't, maybe. Goodbye.
If just one nice comment on
One nice
underneath,
comment. One nice
just one.
comment, and we'll do it again.
Okay, that's a challenge.